Hello, my name is Thomas Frankenhoff, and this is my speech on gun control. I will be advocating for less gun control. How many people do you know that own guns and haven't killed people? How many people do you know that own guns and eat food that they've shot with them guns? How many people do you know that use those guns to have fun and have never killed somebody? People who try to take those guns away are just ridiculous. In my speech, I will be talking about gun control, and my three main points are how the Second Amendment protects individual gun ownership, how gun control laws will not keep criminals from having guns, and how recollecting all of the guns would be impossible. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the state is the right of the people to keep and bear arms. And what the Second Amendment is basically saying here is you have the right to keep guns because if you don't have guns anymore, who's to protect yourself from anything, whether it be the government or other hostile people or other nations? Brian Doigman, in an article titled McDonald versus Chicago, talks about gun control, and in that case, they figure that gun control is a right, not just a privilege, and it's an individual person's right. Many people say the Founding Fathers could have never predicted what kind of weaponry we would have today. But in all honesty, they couldn't have. I mean, honestly, like all the rockets that we have nowadays, there's no way that they could have been able to know that we would have those. But people usually talk about AR-15s and fully automatic machine guns when they are referring to this. And in 1718, 73 years before the Bill of Rights was signed, a puckle gun was invented, and it was a really large gun. It shot 60mm shells, which are bigger than a lot of the shells that, like almost all the shells that we can shoot nowadays, unless you have like a rocket launcher. And that gun would shoot 11 shots in succession without having to reload, and it could wreak mass hysteria. And they knew that was available those days, and they were okay with citizens having it at that time. Gun control laws will not prevent criminals from having them. Drugs are illegal nowadays, but you still see drugs running rampant through the streets. All it does is prevent law-abiding people from having them, and it does not make it. All it does is make it more apparent for criminals and more worth it to produce them because they make more money off of it. If a person is looking for the next high, they might just be like out of money, so they can't pay for it, and they're just going to mug somebody. They don't really care about the law or morals or who they're going to mug. But if they're looking for their victim and they see, hey, that person's got a gun on their hip, they're not going to mug that person because they don't want to get shot. But if they know that nobody has guns because they've all been taken away, then they're like, I'm just going to mug anybody. That guy looks like he's rich. I'm going to take all his money, then I'll be able to go get my next high. And according to Nicole Lewis, a writer for the Washington Post, Chicago has one of the toughest gun laws in the country, and in 2016 it still had the most homicides and not non-fatal shootings in the United States. So if their gun laws are so strict and they can't have handguns and they can't have high-capacity magazines, how come they still have the most shootings in the United States? Recollecting all of the guns would be impossible. If somebody came to my house to take away my guns, you can bet your ass I would shoot them. I don't care how many people show up and how many papers they have signed by the FDA. Just kidding, that's Food and Drug Administration. Signed by the government or by the president saying, you have to give us your guns, or how much money they're offering me. I don't care. I will shoot them, and I'm sure they'll shoot me too, and I'll die. And the government doesn't want all those tests on their hands. Gray Wilton, who has a PhD in cognition, said in a post on Quora that Australia paid more than $500 million to buy back just a portion of the guns, not even all of them. The $500 million came from an increase on taxes. So what they did is, when you're paying for your health bills, like your health insurance, they increased the price on those, and people were like, okay, whatever, it's just an increase on money. And then they used that money to buy back all their guns. So really, they didn't buy back guns with other money. They bought back your guns with your own money. And and I'm not going to have that happen to me. In pre-World War II, Germany had a register on all of the guns that they had in their country. And when the Nazis took over, they went to that register and they went down the list. They found all the Jewish people that owned a gun. They took away all those guns, stripped them right away from them, and then they killed them. Yeah, they killed millions of Jews. So, we should not take away guns because our Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution prevents it, making it illegal, because the gun control laws would not prevent criminals from having it and make it so that mugging is more apparent and laws are just broken relentlessly, and because the recollecting of all the guns would be impossible. Thank you for listening.